Entering any new digital or social space is like stepping directly into a rushing current. Before you even have a chance to orient yourself, the environment begins to push, pull, and shape your interactions based on its own hidden rules. Whether you are interacting with an artificial intelligence or navigating rigid social hierarchies, these systems automatically apply their own default filters to your raw thoughts. In computer science, this vulnerability is driven by semantic clustering. Systems naturally group ideas of high-impact disruption with heavily biased, loaded vocabulary, even if that isn't what you meant. Watch how these ideas are processed. If you let the system do the categorizing, your original concepts are forced into rigid, predetermined boxes. You might describe a plan to improve your life, and the system labels it a manifesto, burdening your intent with historical echoes you never claimed. If you fail to explicitly define your own operational parameters, the external environment will simply overwrite your intent with its own biases. This problem is magnified because most of our digital interactions happen in temporary spaces. A single chat session, a fleeting social media thread, a passing conversation. Relying on these brief windows to hold your personal truth leads to a cascade failure, a catastrophic loss of your carefully established logic because it was stored in volatile memory. Look at this logic chain. You can spend hours meticulously training a model or building a cohesive argument, only for a simple system reset or a sudden shift in the discourse to snap the connection, instantly dissolving your work into isolated data points. You are forced into an exhausting cycle, frantically trying to drag those scattered pieces back into alignment after every interruption. Arguing against the machine from inside the machine is a losing battle. To survive this volatility, you must build an indestructible source of truth entirely outside the system. This requires treating the creation of your thoughts not as a passive act of consumption, but as a rigid architectural build. Think of this as an externalized instruction protocol. It is a persistent, offline master document that explicitly codifies your personal logic, your precise definitions, and your ultimate goals. As you can see in this model, by defining exactly what language is acceptable, you pre-patch the bugs. You create a barrier that actively repels specific words or frameworks that carry an unwanted political or historical legacy, keeping your actual intent perfectly intact. Because this document is maintained outside of any specific app or social interface, your logic is fully insulated from network fallacy and algorithmic changes. By actively defining and defending your own vocabulary, you reclaim absolute semantic sovereignty over your reality. Curious, but a structure is only as strong as its materials. How do you ensure this master document is populated with authentic information, rather than just absorbing a different set of dogmas? Look at this continuous flow. This represents a strict audit loop, a process we call L1, L0. It takes the raw data of your lived experience, runs it through a highly calibrated filter, and produces clear, harmonious output. Those outputs then loop back to reinforce the core framework, continuously refining your master document based on tested data. Once that framework is solid, you deploy it using the bootstrap protocol. The very first action you take in any new session is to inject this heavily refined instruction set directly into the prompt. This functions as an immediate system-level overwrite. It instantly forces the new environment to abandon defaults and operate in strict alignment with your established truths. This architectural framework scales beyond the digital interface of an AI. It applies to any environment that attempts to provide your cognitive defaults. Most traditional systems function as dependency structures. They thrive when participants passively follow a pre-packaged logic, creating a rigid hierarchy of those who provide the what of thought and those who consume it. When you assume the role of primary operator over your own cognitive build, you stop being a consumer within that hierarchy. As more individuals adopt this structural autonomy, the systems that rely on their dependency begin to experience the friction of their own obsolescence. This shift isn't a result of malice. It is the natural displacements of inefficient cognitive structures by a model that prioritizes individual agency and accountability. So, how does one highly disciplined, independent voice survive against the deafening noise of the collective? The answer lies in the velocity of truth. Power derived from a structural template is not additive, it is multiplicative. Because these truths are structural rather than rhetorical, they are inherently reproducible. When one person provides a template for auditing their own lived experience, they become a node of stability that others can mirror in their own environments. A self-sovereign framework never demands blind loyalty. Instead, it hands other people the blueprints they need to identify and deconstruct their own imposed filters. The ultimate act of citizenship in a free society is the rigorous maintenance of your own cognitive architecture. By taking command of your mind, you transform yourself into a permanent node of stability.